Hey there, guys. This is Darwin with another beer review, and this is Jack's Abbey's Hopstitution. I'm actually planning to review this beer and then do a little discussion about hops afterwards. So if you just want to cut it off after I review this beer, I won't be offended. You can just do whatever you want. And so basically, this is an interesting beer. It is a beer where they change the hops every batch they do. Basically, they have a limited amount of hops they can use from who they contract their hops from, and they make a pale ale with those hops they can get. And so this is an Aussie Rulez version, and it is a completely Aussie Australian hopped beer with Ella, Topaz, and Galaxy. I've never had the Hopstitution series, and this is my first time with a bunch of Australian hops. So yeah, let's dig in. So the beer is by the way, this is a pale ale at 5.6% ABV. Yeah, loving Jack's Abbey. They brew all lagers, by the way, if you don't know that already. And so this beer comes in an awesome gold color. I mean, it is bright yellow. It is tinges of orange. It is gorgeous. It is an opaque color. Let's get the aroma. It's got this kind of lager yeast. Obviously, Jack's Abbey has that signature lager yeast kind of coming through. It has a bit of that Galaxy. It has this hints of like grapefruit pith, a kind of grassy, piney kind of thing going on. A lot of green kind of green flavor. I guess that's the thing. A bit of bready malt. So yeah, let's get the flavor. Cheers. Oh wow, it's really nice and clean. It's quite good. They're really hopping this beer quite nicely. That it's the malts are really hidden in the back, and you're really shining off the hops in the front. In the front, I get that Galaxy thing. It's not this pungent kind of citrus and tropical you might get from some beers. It's not like sweet mangoes. It's more towards like grapefruit peel, citrus peel, essence of fruit, sort of like a passion fruit pineapple flavor kind of thing going on. It's hard to describe, but there's a lot of hops that sort of exude tropical and citrus flavors without that sweetness. So it's sort of just the essence of the fruit. Lager yeast in the middle. No sweetness. You're not getting any kind of sugary sweetness anywhere. Bitter malt in the middle. And then, guys, this beer gets astringent. It is a bitter beer. Sorry. For a pale ale, this is like heavy bitterness. One of the most bitter pale ales I've ever had. It is almost like, eating, have you ever had an aspirin and you sort of leave it in your mouth while you're, trying to drink some water? If you leave it on your tongue a bit too much, that aspirin sort of just, gets this astringent bitterness. That's what this has. It's sort of piney. It's very grassy. It's as green as I was saying earlier. It's quite like floral and spicy too. It's all that combination of those flavors. But more towards like a grassy kind of bitterness. Again, it's just astringency. It's interesting to see that this is like a different kind of a bitterness on the back than American hops. American hops sort of have that piney, earthy, mulchy kind of flavor. This is like, it's Australian. It's going to be a bit different. So yeah, this is a good beer. It has a lot of characteristics that I really like. The color is obviously awesome. The aroma is great. The flavor in the front with that Galaxy, it's beautiful. Exactly where I want it. It almost reminds me of like, some Vermont beers, Hill Farmstead and, Lawson's or whatever, Alchemist. It has that beautiful lack of malt and that, just pure hop. And it's so good. It has a pure hop kind of thing going on. Oh, shit. But it has that bitterness on the back, and it is pretty detracting on the beer. Despite that, I'm still giving this beer an 88. If I could just trade the back, get rid of that back end, it'd be preferable. But this is still very good beer. I'm curious if you guys have had any of the Hopstitution series. Let me know what you guys think about the beer and or the series. And so yeah. Anyway, this is the point where you guys can end. I'm going to talk about hops at this point. So, reading the label, this beer's Jack's Abbey talks about how they have hop contracts 2 to 3 years out. And as a commercial brewer, that's just a fact. I was speaking to one of the guys at Other Half in Brooklyn. He's a brewer. And he was talking about how he just opened his brewery this year, which, by the way, is making some of the best beers in the East Coast. I'd argue, probably some of the best beers in the East Coast. Just opened this year. And they're 4 years out. He already has contracts for hops. So that basically means that, I guess, craft beer is growing so fast that they can't, people can't get their hands on hops fast enough. So basically, you're not even buying hops now. You're buying a contract for hops in 4 years to get. So you're putting money up front for something 4 years later, which is pretty absurd. That's an upfront investment. And that's how much, hops are in demand. So that's really interesting to learn about that. And then I was actually curious about whether hops are sort of like a regional thing. I don't homebrew, so I'm not like an expert on hops. But with wine, from what I know about wine, regions like Chile, South America, New Zealand, and Argentina, New Zealand and Australia, those areas are going to produce different wines. They're just warmer climates, and they sort of produce these New World wines with like fruitier flavors. Whereas you're going to have a different kind of flavor profile from wines from Canada, Germany, France. And I'm curious, if that progresses or translates to hops. American hops have certain profile, a certain profile. You have Galaxy and Nelson from New Zealand, Australia, offering these huge tropical and citrus flavors. Really exciting stuff from them. And obviously, you see Citra coming through too, but yeah, Galaxy and Nelson are really become really popular hops. And so yeah, I'm curious to see whether regionalism sort of develops as something in hops. And then most importantly, I just wanted to quickly mention John Kimmick from The Alchemist. He talks about how he is at a point where he's been brewing Heady Topper for I'd say about 10 years now. Yeah. He has, proprietary secret ways of how he brews beers. He knows how to extract hops and put them into beer. In his mind, he, knows how to brew beer. Like, he can't brew Heady Topper any better. If you just give him the ingredients. So he's at the point where he's looking for better ingredients to, show off how good Heady Topper can be. And so, he sources his malts specifically from England. He actually has picked out certain fields in Yakima Valley for his hops. So he's looking for the most quality, best ingredients he can to produce the best beer he can. And I'm curious to see, whether craft brewers sort of go towards that. Not just buy your hops from whatever contractor you can get from. Buy it purposefully from somewhere where you believe really has the best product. You already see that with restaurants. High-end restaurants, they look for the cattle from a certain farmer. They look for farmers that produce certain vegetables and certain fruit. They're really looking for the best product they can to really in the end, a cook is trying to show off what the product is, not their cooking ability. I'd imagine some people would say that. And so maybe that'll be eventually where we get towards with craft beer. Maybe, craft brewers are just going to be so good at brewing beers that really gets down to the little things of how good their hops and malts are, because they are, brewing as best they can. They are, they have all the strategies and ways of extracting the best they can, and it really comes down to the ingredients. So I'm actually curious to see if that actually ends up happening. But yeah, this is me just rambling on about hops and all this kind of stuff. If you guys thought this discussion was interesting, comments, obviously. And so thanks a lot, guys, for watching. This was a fun beer. So until next time, guys, cheers. Keep watching, subscribe, comment, whatever it is. Later. Cheers.